In the mid-70s, Steven Spielberg brought us Jaws, of course. And after that, we had a slew of different kind of animals on the Rampage movies. In 1980, director Louis Teague and writer John Sayles brought us Alligator, which was essentially a B-movie, really, but with some degree of commercial success. So this one stars Robert Forster and Robin Riker. And we have this story here of this young girl in a prologue buys a little alligator pet, and then her father flushes it down the toilet. However, this alligator, we learn, has been feasting on the remains of test animals from a kind of a local pharmaceutical company that have been doing hormone testing on animals to create them massive sizes. And of course, this means the alligator has become huge itself, far bigger than any natural alligator, and is living in the sewers, chowing down on anyone who dares enter. Robert Forster plays a cop who happens to kind of cross paths with this gator, and obviously carnage ensues. So what do we think about Alligator? This is a fun movie. It definitely has its tongue-in-cheek, far more than the kind of the Jaws movie. So don't be expecting quite the dramatic, movie that you would have seen in the Jaws films. But nonetheless, it's still a fun, very fun movie. And I've got to say, I really appreciate the special effects. Now, this movie gets some crap for having for cheesy special effects. But I got to be honest, I kind of like them. They actually use kind of miniature sets with a kind of a large alligator to kind of get fool you into thinking it's this huge thing. But I think it looks pretty good. And there's some decent kind of practical effects in regards to some of the close-ups as well, with this thing chowing down on guests, and there's a fairly high body count here. I actually really enjoyed the actual special effects here. I also really liked Robert Forster, who is this kind of like everyman cop and a real kind of like down-to-earth kind of character who you really do root for, and he's a pretty likable guy, I've got to say. In fact, it's just probably one of my favourite Robert Forster roles in actual fact. And the movie moves at a fair old pace. You're never kind of left hanging around too long. Of course, no one believes him, first of all, as it's kind of like this period of time, always the same kind of thing. So it does kind of follow the Jaws kind of plot somewhat in a similar manner. Even the music, I've got to say as well, is a little bit maybe too reminiscent of John Williams' score. If we're going on to the negatives as well, unfortunately, this movie is maybe just a little bit too ham-fisted in some ways. We've got the typical, screaming police captain who he literally seems to be shouting in every scene. The female lead, Robin Riker, doesn't really have much to do. She's meant to be this kind of like this reptile specialist, but she really just follows Robert Forster's character around, and she moves the car. It's about her kind of major contributions towards the end of the film, other than saying, oh, it's going to go for water. Well, it's an alligator. I would probably let in an expert to tell me that. But she doesn't really have a lot to do. It's not her fault. She's not bad in the role, but her part is very, very underwritten. And yes, this is definitely a cheesy film. And you've got the big game hunter, of course, which his character seems rather peripheral. But those kind of are all relatively minor complaints. Yes, it's of its time. Yes, it looks dated by now, but if you are a creature feature fan, then you should definitely check this one out, because it's a absolute load of fun. There's quite a lot of death and destruction here. The most famous scene, of course, with the alligators kind of coming through the sidewalk towards the end of the movie. But it's not particularly gory, I would say. It's more just kind of blood and kind of a few prosthetic limbs here and there. But it's a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed watching this movie again to review it. It's a great movie. It was followed on by a sequel, Alligator 2: The Mutation, which I have no memory of, although I have watched it. So maybe one day I'll do a review of that one as well. Overall, I gotta say, if you're a B-movie creature fan, you should definitely watch this film if you haven't already seen it. I'll give it a good 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me comments, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.